Moving on to the United States, heavy rainfall, nearly 10 inches in 6 hours, flooded parts of Massachusetts and Rhode Island on Tuesday. At least 2 communities were forced to declare a state of emergency. This as water poured into homes and forced boat rescues for residents. Concerns about a dam listed in poor conditions led to even more evacuations. With more rain in forecast for Wednesday, weather officials described the rainfall as a 200-year event.
We lost a number of roads, we lost a few buildings, structural damage. All of these rivers overflowed and brought debris, and literally we have a dumpster that came, we think, maybe half a mile.
According to forecasters, winds and flooding from Hurricane Lee were expected to affect Rhode Island, eastern Massachusetts, southeastern New Hampshire and central and coastal Maine during the weekend. Around 300 people were evacuated by Tuesday morning in Leominster. This included residents of a high-rise apartment building and a nursing home. All schools remained shut and 2 shelters were opened.
Last night we opened up this building, this is Francis Drake Elementary, to about 80 people who were rescued from the floods. Ages varied. Pets were welcome. We had 8 small dogs here. They did very well.
The Leominster mayor said the city has not seen such widespread damage since a hurricane in 1936. The mayor further added that most buildings downtown were flooded and some even collapsed, and rail services into Boston were also disrupted.
We have a partial building collapse just around the corner. Most of the buildings downtown were flooded, and most of downtown was flooded.
As the United States hits a new record of billion-dollar weather disasters this year, the Red Cross Disaster Relief Agency is launching a $1 billion response effort to tackle disasters due to climate change.
Making sure, Red Cross will be an extreme advocate for those communities and the families to make sure their loss is at the top of that list on how we invest and how we direct those resources that we can, so it's a bigger part of the conversation.
According to the U.S. National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, United States saw a record 23 disasters this year alone that have each caused more than $1 billion in damages. And with 4 months left to go, the recorded damages have been estimated to be more than 2020's count of $22 billion.
I think the shift we saw was when disasters changed from being an acute event to a chronic event. And we saw that shift, and you can look just in the last 10 years, you could see that change happening where disaster risk has now become a chronic issue in the country.
While the Red Cross has treated past disasters on a case-by-case basis, it will now be coordinating operations year-round along with local and regional organizations. The increased funding will also allow the agency to add at least 69 new staff members, including a new leadership team to coordinate efforts across the country.
We started to hear from our donors and our partners alike, we have to think of this problem differently. It's not an episodic event where we can just, push a lot of resources into the community, mitigate the issues in the immediate, and then the next disaster will happen, we'll do it all over again.
Now, the escalation has been intense for the Red Cross. Last year, the agency responded to at least 354 disasters, which is a 4% increase from 2021. Each deployment costs the agency at least $10,000, though last year included 26 that needed $250,000 or more. With the funding boost, the Red Cross plans to focus on helping vulnerable populations in the face of climate-fueled disasters. This includes direct financial assistance to families in need and support for local organizations in affected areas.